Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes, and here are the three big stories for today. So the first is Anton Gershchenko shows that the G7 countries will keep Russian assets frozen until they get Russian Federation to pay for the damage caused to Ukraine during a full-scale invasion. Their joint statement following a meeting in Washington says, so they're not seizing it and using it, they are freezing it, and you'll get it back after Russia pays the damages. Now that's beautiful. It's beautiful for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't have the same negative effect on the stability of the monetary system, but it's also beautiful because it puts pressure on these oligarchs to do something because it's Putin that's keeping them frozen, and that may actually help them budge. Okay, G7 countries also aim to apply new sanctions against Russia and to counter attempts to evade them, according to the document. Sanctions and weapons, the two crucial components of Ukrainian victory. That's big story number one. Big story number two. Speaker Johnson is actually moving forward with foreign aid bills despite threat to oust him. So there's a process, and then the works got gummed up, and now the process looks like it's about to budge. Let's look at what the Guardian has to say about this. There's how do the new bills different from the Senate bills, because they unpack these into four separate bills. The main difference between the two packages is that the House bill provides more than $9 billion in economic assistance to Ukraine in the form of forgivable loans. The Senate bill included no such provision seeking repayment. The idea of structuring the aid as a loan is a key Trump policy proposal and is supported by a number of Republicans. Johnson says the House bill package also includes a requirement for the Biden administration to provide a plan and a strategy to Congress for what it seeks to achieve in Ukraine. That shouldn't be very hard. Those on the left will say they've already done it. Well, good, just dust it off, send it forward. The plan will be or would be required within 45 days of the bill being signed into law. The House Republicans frequently complain that they have yet to see a strategy for ending the war. So there we go. It's that simple. So let's see if that's going to work forward. I think something's going to move forward. I'm not exactly sure how it'll work out, but it should happen soon. Meanwhile, you've probably seen this if you watch other Ukrainian news channels or pro-Ukraine news channels on YouTube. This is Mike Johnson.
Listen, my philosophy is you do the right thing and you let the chips fall where they may. If I operated out of fear over a motion to vacate, I would never be able to do my job. Look, history judges us for what we do. This is a critical time right now, critical time on the world stage. I could make a I could make a selfish decision and do something that's different, but I'm doing here what I believe to be the right thing. I think providing lethal aid to Ukraine right now is critically important. I really do. I really do believe the intel and the briefings that we've gotten that I believe Xi and Vladimir Putin and Iran really are an axis of evil. I think they're in coordination on this. I think that Vladimir Putin would continue to march through Europe if he were allowed. I think he might go to the Balkans next. I think he might have a showdown with Poland or one of our NATO allies. To put it bluntly, I would rather send bullets to Ukraine than American boys. My son is going to begin in the Naval Academy this fall. This is a live fire exercise for me, as it is so many American families. This is not a game. It's not a joke. We can't play politics of this. We have to do the right thing. And I'm going to allow an opportunity for every single member of the House to vote their conscience and their will on this. And I think that's the way this institution is supposed to work. And I'm willing to take personal risk for that because we have to do the right thing, and history will judge us.
Okay, so he's right. History is going to judge, and you probably heard the first part of that. Well, I feel like I need to do this and not worry about the potential of the vacate order. And you probably heard the end of it where he was talking about what he was talking about there. So at the same time, in this tweet, Dan Crenshaw, a Republican, was saying something that's like, hello, let's pay attention. Those of you who want to keep this from even getting to the floor, to be clear, he's being threatened for even allowing a vote to come to the floor, for allowing the constitutional process to play out as intended by our founders. That's a wild thing to consider, especially when his enemies consider themselves to be conservative. They are not conserving the constitutional process our founders created, that's for sure. Conserving Putin's gains on the battlefield is more like it. That's Dan Crenshaw, a Republican from Texas. Okay. Meantime, Marjorie Taylor Greene says that we're not going to have a future for the Republican Party because we're just not standing up for anything. Well, let's hear her.
Aren't going to have a future Republican Party, Steve. We'll never win another election because we haven't given our voters anything to vote for. We have never stood and fought for them.
But she's fighting for something that at least half the Republican Party or so doesn't want you to do, desperately doesn't want you to do. Like, I'm torn up about what's going on. And she just seems to think this is a good idea. Now, she's speaking to Steve Bannon in War Room. Steve Bannon was one of Trump's advisors. So that's where they are there. Here's Crenshaw again. Let's just listen to him.
Their reasoning is they want Russia to win so badly that they want to oust the speaker over it. I mean, it's a strange position to take, I think they want to be in the minority too. I think that's an obvious reality. I'm still trying to process all bullshit. So
they're going to be in the minority very quickly if they don't get their acts together. So this is just, there is a real civil war, a real schism within the Republican Party. Okay, here's Representative McCall. He is the chairman of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, and he is a Republican, old school Reagan Republican hawk. And here's what he had to say.
I would say 80% though of the money for Ukraine does go into our defense industrial base. And it goes into modernizing and replenishing our stockpiles in the United States. And it's going to create jobs in the United States. Any expert you talk to, every military, General Jack Keane to Mike Pompeo will tell you there's a national security interest here, because if Ukraine falls, then Moldova is going to fall, then Georgia, then the Baltics are at stake. And you're looking at parallels to 1939 all over again. And then eventually they're going to hit accord with the NATO Article 5, and we're going to have to send our men and women over there. And the reason I want this, they're fighting for us is what they tell me. And I want to give them everything they need to at least push the Russians back so we don't have to send our men and women over there. It's called deterrence. If we fail on that and surrender in Ukraine like we did in Afghanistan, does that make the United States, does that make it more powerful or weaker?
So that's McCall's position, and I think he's right. It makes us weaker, not stronger. So what does Marjorie Taylor Greene have to say? And again, this is on War Room with Bannon.
I'm going to issue a challenge to Mike McCall and Mike Johnson and everyone. If you have proof that Vladimir Putin is going to march across Europe, going to go all the way to Kiev, take Poland next, and then keep on going, unclassify it. Declassify that proof and show it to the American people. Prove to the American people why they need to send their hard-earned money over there. Prove it. I dare you to prove it, because you do not have the proof. And
well, first thing, bad guys don't like say, ha ha ha, here's my bad guy manifesto most of the time. And they put it somewhere where it can be used as proof. I mean, we were just looking from past experience of what Putin has done. We don't have, okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, your hard-earned money, or much of it, is going to be in the form of a loan and not sent over there. But even a loan you don't want. So why don't you want even a loan? And wow, that's quite a look that I caught her on, didn't I? Wow. Okay, let's hear the rest of this.
They're not capable of showing it, Steve. This is the biggest, most repulsive scam, and it's been happening for decades, and it's all they claim to protect American jobs and to keep the military-industrial base going and employed, and it's all for our economy. This is not an economy anybody wants. We don't want an economy built on people's blood and dead bodies in foreign countries. We want an America first economy, and from now on, Steve, we are going to demand it from our Republican leaders. I don't care if the Speaker's office becomes a revolving door. If that's exactly what needs to happen, then let it be. But the days are over of the old Republican Party that wants to fund foreign wars and murder people in foreign lands while they stab the American people in their face and refuse to protect Americans and fix our problems over here.
Okay, so she's saying that what old school Republicans want to do is just be murderous and have lots of wars. No, they recognize that evil exists and that you need to address it, and you can't put your head in the sand. That's the difference. But okay, so there she was again on War Room with Bannon, who again is a Trump advisor. The Russians seem to love Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Russian state TV talking about her right here.
Из Альянса призывает Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is proposing for the U.S. to withdraw from NATO. She believes that Americans should help Putin win.
As I look at this, I think like Ronald Reagan does. I saw this meme. President Reagan called Russia an evil empire. Republicans, have you lost your mind? And then I thought, what if we could AI generate Reagan's voice? Here's what happened.
My fellow Americans, I am not sure what happened to the Republican Party. Russia is perpetrating a great genocide on the Ukrainian people, and we, the arsenal of democracy, have a duty to defend it. Contact your congressman now. Dr. Gerdes will show you how.
Well, he doesn't pronounce my name very well, but you can go right here and write this video, write your congressman. If you go to search and contact, and it'll contact your congressman, I'll put it in the end screen. I'll put it in the link it below, and there we are. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and the coffees. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.